Hi guys, welcome back to the Talk Real to Me podcast. I'm your host, Macaulay Stahowski. Today we have David Carlos with us.
Yes, sir.
A U.S. Air Force veteran. Excited to have him on today to talk a little bit about his past with the Air Force. He has a history also with it, with family being in there too.
Correct.
David, thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it. Anytime.
Yeah.
Always appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Go ahead, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how long were you in your career in the Air Force?
Well, David Carlos, born and raised Fresno, California. I was 6.5 years in the Air Force.
How'd you like it?
Loved it.
Yeah.
Honestly, if it wasn't for my situation, obviously, Jackson, my son, I chose to get out because of him. I wanted to be the father figure, single dad. So having him full time, it wasn't going to be possible if I was deploying every 6 months or so. So because it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you're going to deploy every 6 months, but you're on that rotation. Like, hey, he's up on rotation. He could get slotted for this time. So it was just an unknown, and there's no way the Corps were going to let me be on that kind of schedule. So I chose to get out and move back home and
be a dad.
Yeah, be a dad, raise him, give him the same opportunity I had growing up, through St. Anthony's and Memorial,
There we go.
So
Panthers.
I wanted to give him that opportunity. But if it wasn't for that, I would have stayed in. I loved every moment of it. It literally shaped me and made me who I am today. I'm a totally different person, I feel like, than I was before I went in. So
for sure.
And in a good way, a positive way. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. It definitely changes you into a man real quick. Yeah. Let's talk about your family history. So it was your grandpa?
Yes. My grandfather he retired. He did 22 years in the Air Force and retired as a master sergeant. So he reaped the entire benefits of what the Air Force and the military itself gives you. So I didn't obviously get that far due to my situation, and I don't get those kind of benefits like he does, but obviously doing my full term that I signed up for, I still get a lot, VA and all that kind of stuff. So
you're talking my language right now.
Yes, sir. But seeing what he went through and how proud he was of what he did and accomplished in there. I was at a point, especially right after high school, kind of like lost in what I wanted to do and figure out, where I wanted to go from there as far as career wise. And I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. I couldn't make up my mind. I know I didn't want to do school. Even when I tried to do school, I'm like, what am I going to study for? I couldn't make up my mind. So I wanted to get on almost the fast track to adulthood or, whatever you call that. So I ended up joining, and as soon as I got out of basic training, I was like, man, like my life got turned around, because they break you down. They break you down mentally to where they can build you up how they want. And it's not also bad how they, it's not like brainwash or anything like that, but they just show you, hey, this is why we do things a certain way, and then I take that into the work life I have now, working for Yale Forklifts. It's tedious in the things we do for sales, parts, everything. So the military just pretty much gave me the fast track, I feel like, for a career to get out. Yeah, in the Air Force, I love all the branches. Eric's in the Marines and did wonderful there. But the Air Force, especially,
kind of his career didn't end that great.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
But I feel like Eric is completely different than he was before he went in. And he's an excellent father, great husband. He's a great friend.
Yeah.
So,
great fighter too.
The Anderson Silva kick, real quick.
Yeah.
But the Air Force especially, it's a lot different. It's not like, oh, you can grind hard at work and move up in rank and promotion, everything like that. No, you can grind hard at work, but you don't get your certain classes done, or you don't get certain schooling done. You can't become a tech sergeant without a bachelor's degree.
Really?
Yes.
All right, that's news to me.
They're forcing that now. So
okay.
They force you to. It's not. Yeah, they obviously care about the functionality and how everything's working and the operations and everything, but they care about you as a person. I feel like I wasn't just a number. It was like, oh, Airman Carlos. They got on my ass when I wasn't doing my schoolwork, or I was getting low in my ASVAB scores or my because you have to test every so often in your career field to rank up or to promote or to, you know, whatever.
Right.
So if you're doing bad in your test, I mean, they'll get on you. You know what I mean? They want you to succeed in your career because that'll help you when you get out.
Yeah.
And
Don't want you to stay stagnant.
Even to get out, you had to take a TABS class. It's like this week and a half long class, and it's setting you up for when you get out. I mean, you have to learn how to fill out I guess like an application, you know what I mean? Fill out a resume, excuse me. You have to fill out, they show you how to fill out a resume. They show you how to lay all that out. They show you, they take you in fake interviews, like as you're interviewing for jobs, and you have to pass all that before they even let you out of the military.
Wow.
For the Air Force, at least.
I love that. That's unique.
Yeah.
And definitely something like you're saying. So when you first went in, was it a 4-year term that you signed up for?
I did a 6.
You did 6.
Yeah, because for doing a 6, you automatically, instead of being at the bottom in E1, for us it was basic airman, airman first class, senior airman, staff sergeant, you know, so on and so forth. But if you did the 6-year term, when you came out of basic, you were automatically an airman first class. So you started up, you know,
promotion right away.
I didn't really get like a signing bonus or anything like that, but it was promotion right away. And well, there was one other thing that the kind of the benefits for signing up for 6 years: promotion right away. Oh, and you're more likely, I guess. I mean, I don't know if this is true or not, but they say you're more likely to get your bases of preference because you get 5 stateside, 5 overseas, your top picks, and technically you're guaranteed to at least get one of the 10.
Okay. Where were you stationed at?
For me, I kind of got screwed. I went in, did great on my ASVAB test. Apparently, I'm colorblind. I found that out when I went through meds and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, man.
I mean, pick any color right now, like point at something.
How about the Warriors jersey you have on?
I mean, obviously blue, you know what I'm saying? Red,
okay.
Like I can see colors, but the colorblind test they give you, I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's like a circle with a bunch of little different dots in it with similar colors, and it makes out a number.
Oh, no.
I can't see the number.
Wow. So that's how you found out.
I didn't know until I went to try to get in the military that I was quote unquote colorblind.
Wow. We got to call Lisa on this
Right?
once we're done.
Right. So it literally took away, because even though I did good on my ASVAB, had all these listed jobs, now my list of jobs was like this.
Wow. Okay.
So I kind of went in random. I said general job. I mean, kind of put me wherever I want to get in quick. I don't want to be sitting at home waiting. You know, first slot available, I take it. I end up going into material management. It's pretty much just parts, supply, shipping, receiving, all that kind of stuff, warehouse management and all that. And my technical school and my first, you know, basic training and my technical school was all in San Antonio, in Lackland Air Force Base.
Got it.
Lit. Love San Antonio.
That's a joint base, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's a training base.
Got it.
But I mean, they hold operations out there, but the main thing is the training. I mean, very big for touristy people to come in. I mean, that's where the graduation's held and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, Lackland. And then from there, Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico.
How was that?
Alamogordo, oh my God, dude, it was the worst.
Yeah?
Absolute worst.
Why is that?
The nearest town was probably about like a 30-minute drive. I mean, you're in the middle of the desert because that's where they did the missile. That's where the White Sands Missile Testing Range is. That's where they do all that stuff. You know what I mean? We're out there where they're doing the testing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, the nearest town's 20, 25, 30 minutes away. It's a mile-long strip. That's the whole town. It's a mile-long strip. The closest like big city is El Paso, Texas, which is amazing. El Paso is super, super cool. But that's like 45, 50 minutes away. It's like driving to here from Fresno, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And obviously if you party there, you're not going to drive an hour back after partying all night, you know what I mean?
Right.
So we were very limited in what we could do. And it was that was kind of a weird, depressing time for me because it was my first time being at my first station, getting in the new feel of being in the military and all that stuff, and I'm in the middle of nowhere, with nothing to do, you know what I mean? A lot of these guys were cool because they went hiking and hunting elk in the desert, boar, and whatever. I mean, you know what I mean? That's really not my style, but I kind of got into it, found things to do to keep myself occupied. I don't know. I wish I would have known the difference of... Like I was so stuck in when at my first base it kind of sucks. It was that place because I was so down and depressed about how things were. I'm like, man, this is the military.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? And so it made it hard for me to grind out the first couple years. But then obviously as things went moving and on, and it got better.
Yeah. Where did you go after that?
After that, I went to, that's when stuff hit, like my life hit a 180, because that's when I was in Turkey.
Okay.
I was going to be there. It's going to be a short tour for 4.5 months. And it turned into a 14.5 month deployment. Because as soon as we were there, the Turkish coup happened and they locked down the whole place. The Istanbul airport got bombed. We were over there. So everything kept happening and more and extended our stay. That was a really weird time because a lot of people had their families there and everything, had to be all shipped back home. Can't be any civilian was on base. They literally shut down the base completely. And that was really weird for people that were there. Hey, I'm only going to be here 12 months, 6 months. Now you're here for like 14. So buckle in. And the people that signed up for the 12 months, that's now a 24 month. So it was a 180 on a lot of people.
What was your mental state at that point?
Ooh, mental state at that point.
Let's start from the beginning. So you're over there in Turkey. You're away from your family.
Exciting at first because none of this, I didn't know any of this was happening.
Right.
I was like thinking, hey, I'm going there for a short tour, going to see Turkey. There's a city near us called Adana. Supposed to have dope beaches and everything. I'm like, hey, it's going to be dope.
Yeah.
And then obviously everything went south. So
how long were you there before you knew you were staying a lot longer than
only a couple months?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we get to that point, hey, you're here for 14 months.
Right.
Your mental state at that point, were you obviously you're upset. That's clear. Like, hey, I don't want to be here that long. I want to be with family. Upset,
and my girl at the time is 6 months pregnant, about to have my kid. Don't know when I'm going to see him now.
Right.
Yeah, it was tough.
And at that point too, she was active duty military too.
She had just got out.
So she got out at the point when she was doing that.
Yeah, she's already back at home.
Okay.
So.
Man.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah.
When you get to month 14, you're coming home.
When I get to month 12, actually.
Oh, okay.
When I get to month 12, perspective changes. Things are lightening up on base a little bit. Still, things are kind of hectic. Everything's going crazy back at home, with the whole me staying there. Jackson was just born. Cool thing about it, I had a really, really cool supervision. Like I said, Air Force, they take care of you. 6 months in, you're available to apply for, it was called OML, Operational Management Leave or something like that. Because, like I said, you were only supposed to be there 4 to 6 months, and now you're there 14. So at that 6 month mark, they give you some kind of pass to go somewhere for a week. You don't have to go home, but you get a week of leave.
I do remember that.
So I flew straight home.
Yeah, I do.
I went straight to Pennsylvania because that's where Jax was at the time.
Yeah.
Surprise Tia, Jax, and everybody, got to see Jax for 5 days and then I had to come back.
Right back to work.
Right back to work. So, like I said, month 12 kicks in and I finally get news of my next base. And like I said, this is where I wish I would have stayed in. Nellis Air Force Base, Las Vegas, Nevada.
There it is.
So it was online Donkey Kong, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was amazing. That base was, it's Vegas, you're living in Vegas. I don't know what else to say. I don't want to go too deep into detail, but you're living in Vegas. So it was really cool. But so month 12, I get that news. I'm going to Vegas, and
was it worth it at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're getting ready, you're packing up your stuff, you're having to go through. There's so much to do for out processing. From every time you leave a base, it's like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks almost worth of appointments out process. You had to go to the doctor, you got to go to finance, you got to go to your turn in your gear, you got to turn your weapons, there's so much stuff you have to do just to out process from a base to go somewhere else.
I have a client told me it was like they're born again.
Yes, dude, every time. And then as soon as you get to your next base, it's the same thing. Before you even start work, your first 2 or 3 weeks are just, hey, I'm Aaron Carlos. Here's my information. This is where I was. This is my numbers. This is my social security. Okay, go to finance. Set up this. It's just,
man.
Yeah. And then obviously, you have to go to your welcoming program, and they'll take you around base and show you where everything's at. So it's a process. But as you're doing that, I'm going into finance, and I realize, man, I've been here for 12 months at this point. I've been working 12 to 14 hours a day, 6 days a week, because you're on that deployment schedule. I haven't been able to go anywhere, buy anything, do anything, spend any money. I'm getting hazard pay at this point because it's now a red zone because we got bombed. I'm getting COLA pay. I'm getting overseas pay. I look at my bank account. I go, oh,
I might stay.
all right, yeah, all right. I understand why. I all right. Let's go home and let's get stuff started. So it was a very humbling experience, but it was deployment money is it helps you. I mean, they take care of you.
Right.
They take care of you. And everything's tax free when you're on deployment too. So
Yeah, and the good thing is you're saving money in an aspect. You're collecting that paycheck. Obviously, if you're going to Vegas or something, maybe it's a little bit different. But
Right.
if you're overseas every now and then,
but in my mind, I'm a new dad, I'm starting this whole new life. I got a kid on the way, and it's just like that comforting feeling like, okay, I worked, I did this, so now I can take care of him.
Right.
So
how long were you in Vegas for? Was that
I was in Vegas 3
years?
3 years, I think.
And that's where you ended up?
2.5, something like that. Yeah.
That's where it ended.
That's where it ended. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I got out.
What was Vegas like as far as base? Did you live on base or was it?
So they give you an option. They give you BAH. It's a base housing allowance.
Talking my language again.
And the cool thing about that, so I didn't take it because I was a single dad. If I was just a regular, didn't have any kids, no married, no nothing, I would have taken that BAH instantly because they give you BAH according to COLA, wherever the cost of living is at that time.
Right.
So for Vegas, it was like you were getting like $4,500 for.
You didn't want that?
That's what I'm saying, right? But it would have just been me and Jack. So the housing over there was pretty expensive. But
Yeah.
what people do, you get like 3 or 4 dudes, you all buy a house, you're only paying $300 a month for rent. The rest of that money's going in your pocket, and hey, we're going to Vegas. You know what I mean?
The best part.
The best part. But for
It
me,
is.
I didn't take it. I just did the, hey, I'm just going to we'll have to worry about, because if you live on base, they don't give you that BAH, but I don't have to worry about rent. I don't have to worry about, utilities or anything like that. All I pay is like pretty much their version of PG&E. And because I was working so much and Jax was at either daycare or he was doing swim class or whatever, he was always, or babysitter. When we got home, I was barely running my AC or heat. I was actually getting back money from the military, like maybe $80 to $150 a month.
Nice.
Because I wasn't even using that allowance.
That full amount.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is one of the parts that I really do love about the military side of things. BAH is great. Living off base, it depends, like you said, on the city you live in.
Right.
And then you could also throw your rank in there too. And
Yeah, that matters too. Obviously the airmen have a tier, the sergeants have a tier, then the master sergeant have a different tier of what you get.
And then when you move city to city,
Yeah.
all that stuff changes. So you could be making this certain amount on your 4 years in NAS Lemoore, and then you end up going to another Navy, Virginia Beach or wherever it may be, and it's more because the cost of living is triple than what you're looking at here.
The overseas is the way to go. That's why people actually request overseas, because you're getting that COLA over there and it's insane.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of coworkers that were wanting to go overseas?
All of them. If they were single, if they didn't have a family to where they wanted to be stateside, all of them, everybody wanted to go overseas.
I love it.
Yeah, no one wanted to be stateside. It was always the top 3 were Germany, was a big one. What was another big one? Hawaii, technically it's considered overseas, and as far as you're signing up for it because of the COLA over there.
Right.
So Hawaii is another big one everybody wanted. All mine were honestly, I had Vegas on mine, but all mine were Cali, because Vandenberg is in my opinion, is the sickest base there is.
Yeah.
And it's right, kind of down south a little bit, but Vandenberg is sick. Travis, right up there near San Francisco, another cool one. Edwards is kind of ghetto, but it's like only 2.5, 3 hours away from Vegas, so I think that's like an easy drive, and then obviously Vegas. So
there you go.
Yeah.
What was your daily job? Let's say you wake up in the morning. What? You're
Another
in there.
cool thing about, I don't know if this, I honestly don't know how this works out for other MOSs, because I know the maintenance crew, that's their, whatever they did, that's all they did. Like, it's not like, oh, I work on the weapons panel, I work on the engines. No, you're a weapons, they're called technicians, they're not called mechanics.
That specific
You know what I
job
mean?
is yours.
Yeah, that's all they did.
Yeah.
For me, I was considered material management. So I could have been in equipment. I could have been in customer service. I could have been in supply. I could have been in main warehousing. I could have been COSO for the maintenance crew, which is what I did in Vegas. So every like year or year and a half, they would move you around.
Okay.
And it's so you could study that part of supply and then get tested for it, and then go to this part, equipment, learn how to do equipment, study that part, get tested for it. So then eventually when it's come times to test for tech sergeant, master sergeant, you have all that knowledge.
And you know what your test scores were. Hey, this is what we're strong at. Wow, that's unique. I love that. So you said customer service. What were you doing customer service wise?
I never actually did customer service. That's the only place I didn't go. But their thing was mainly like document control. Like every morning they would bring like all the master sergeants or tech sergeants from each squadron and bring them in and go over, hey, what's the status on this, because a lot of what we did, our main focus was, especially in Vegas, we dealt with the F-35s there. So it was, hey, we have something going down over there. What's the quickest way, cheapest way for us to ship it there? Because, I mean, that shit costs a lot of money to priority mic cap something overseas or downrange or down, to get it there. So we have to move stuff around. A lot of, a lot of logistics and organizing things and, finding the best way for it to happen. So we did a lot of that, but the customer service would be to bring all those guys together and kind of get everything on the table, dish it out. Okay, how are we going to solve this problem today? What are we going to do and everything? And then on top of that, also they had actual people that were at the front desk for customer service, like, hey, who do you need to talk to type thing, and just dealing calls out. Yeah. So, but I never dealt with customer service. I dealt with equipment, supply, which was the main warehousing, and then COSO. So the last couple years I worked in Vegas was really, really cool because you're pretty much the technicians' main supply guy. So they go to you, hey, I need this, or this much of this on this day, whatever, and you bring it in for them. So we were just kind of like, their middleman.
Right.
So, and we didn't actually, it was cool because the supply group, I mean, I love the LRS, which was the Logistics Readiness Squadron. I love the LRS, but they were so like uptight, like, button up, hats on and da-da-da. When I went to the MXS, it was cool because, I was still a supply guy and they treated me like a supply guy. I wasn't part of the maintenance crew, but because I was working on the airline, I mean, we had ABUs off, shirts were, because you're working on the flight line. They want you to be comfortable.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes boots untucked, screw that. It was just more lax environment.
Okay.
So yeah, that's cool.
I love it. When you say equipment, now I got to ask this. Bombs? Are you like, what do you mean by equipment? What do you?
A lot of our equipment, I mean, we dealt with everything from actual full-on engines to knives and batteries and, nuts and bolts.
I saw you were holding batteries, like AAA batteries, or are we talking like?
Yeah, both. I mean, big batteries, little watch
Small
batteries,
ones.
everything. It's crazy. I mean,
Okay.
every weapons panel has a certain screw. Like there's a certain exact screw that's made for this exact hole on this plane. You know what I mean? It's so, especially the F-35s, Lockheed Martin made it to where, hey, we're going to make this plane where only people can buy parts from us and we're just going to bank it. And, we're the only people that, for our head guy, the people who ran the Logistics Readiness Squadron and the Maintenance Squadron, they weren't military people for the F-35s. They were civilians that Lockheed Martin put there, like, no, we're running this because this is our aircraft.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Lockheed Martin, that's a good job to have.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good setup once you're working for that company.
Yeah, and 3M too, because 3M held the contract to be able to paint our jets, because especially for the 22s, they have to have that certain stealth paint. 3M was the only company that was allowed to do it, and we had to get all their equipment or all our product and supply it from them.
I love it.
So yeah,
I love it. I've heard a lot of good things about Lockheed Martin for people that are retiring.
Yes. Yes.
Obviously, if you're flying that jet, you know how it works.
Even to get you have that opportunity to go back and work they have so many civilian jobs and opportunities within the base itself. Like you get out, you turn right back around and work that same job just at a higher up or the civilian side of it.
Right.
So yeah, there's so many opportunities.
And the pay's better.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what's
crazy. The
crazy.
benefits aren't as crazy, but the pay, you're getting a lot more money.
That's what's crazy to me is I've noticed that hey, I'm done flying this jet, but I'm going to go teach people how to fly it, and I'm going to get paid more.
That's why the biggest signing bonus is for contractors.
Right.
Contractors and air traffic controllers. Contractors especially, though, because the military throws so much money. Like, hey, we'll give you $15,000, $25,000, $50,000 to sign on again for another 4 years, 6 years, because they're trying to keep these guys, because they know as soon as they get out and they see that military training and background in contracting or air traffic control, you're hired on the spot, and they're going to triple the money they're making in the military.
I love it.
So the military is like, oh, hey, here's this, because they try to keep those people. That's the hardest part, is keeping those guys.
What advice would you give someone who's interested in joining the Air Force?
Just do your research. I mean, have a goal. So, obviously try to reach that goal, but I feel like once you have a goal, it's going to be so easy to reach. Trust me. I mean, they force you to reach that goal, and then just find a way to how you're going to exceed or succeed from there, and branch out and do your own thing and find your own way. And don't get caught up in the politics. Especially when you're starting off young and are early in the military. Perfect example, quick story. This guy that worked for us in my crew for the supply chain, he was one rank above us, so he was kind of like the lead on our shift. He didn't like manage the shift or anything. He was just kind of like the lead on our shift. But this guy sucked, dude. He was the worst. Horrible at the job. Like, always made our work harder. It was just awful. But at the time, our colonel, who's right under, was up for promotion to go be at a different base. Well, he needed to show all these airmen underneath him and what they're doing and all their accolades and everything. Well, this guy who sucked at his job started a soup kitchen for the community, did a bunch of clothing drives and all this stuff, and put all that and wrote it up to, hey, here's what one of your airmen's doing. He got the award, got promoted quicker than any of us did because of that. But it was just all because, hey, this general showed, I got this kid under me. Look what I got. Hey, okay, you're good to go.
Wow.
So there's a lot of politics involved, but
try not to get
too far into it. Yeah.
Okay.
Because that really, like I said, that was my first base, and that happened within the first couple of years. Because I went the fast track, and I went airman first class. So I wanted to be a staff sergeant before I went on to my next base, but that's one of the reasons it didn't happen, and it's kind of deterred me a little bit in the beginning, how I felt about it. But you can't get caught up too much in it.
I gotcha. Would you change anything to make the whole process as a whole better, or do you feel pretty complete with the way that you left?
I think I would have volunteered a lot more for different things.
Okay. What do you mean? Let's get a little further into that. What do you mean?
There's just so much you can name anything.
Like different companies while you're still active duty, you're saying, like volunteer once you get out? Or
as far as like stuff that you can do within the military itself. There's so many. You're being, wherever you go, you get put into that community.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So there's so much within the community you can volunteer for and do and explore.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I wish I would have done that more. My first couple of years, I was kind of more just stuck on base and because you don't get to go straight into base housing unless you have a family already. So I was only 20 at the time, just got in, so they put me in the dorms. You're in the dorms for the first 3 years. So I kind of just stuck in that little environment and made friends there, and we had dorm parties and went to did stuff around the base, but I didn't really branch out in the community and see what there was to offer.
Gotcha.
And there was so much. There's so much everywhere you go.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Gotta hit this topic as we close out here.
Yeah.
You mentioned VA earlier. So obviously the process. You bought a home. Explain that a little bit, and also your grandma was a huge part in that. So go ahead and hit that topic.
Yeah, both my grandma and my mom work for Lending Concepts, and they did. I honestly, I wish I can get really into detail about how that process was, but they took care of it so much for me and made it so easy.
Yeah.
Obviously, my grandma went through, a lot of the stuff. She walked me step by step. Hey, before we start, we have to know, they ran everything. So I was able to have a bracket and kind of a price range of what I was looking at, versus, oh, what about this house? Oh, we don't qualify. Oh, what about this? It was just, hey, this is what we're looking at. So now start looking, and it helped me out a lot. I was able to, obviously we did 0 down. She got me a great interest rate. I think I'm at 2.21.
Oh my God. I want to cry.
Yeah, I think I'm at 2.21, 0 down. But there was a lot of nitpicking with the VA loan. Like, I mean, the termite inspection had to be on point. There can be a lot wrong with the house. I mean, there was a lot of nitpicking, which made things a little difficult, but not really. It honestly pushed me in a better direction, I felt like.
Right.
So, but yeah, my realtor took care of all that, though. I mean, he went through, did the termite inspection. He even paid it for me.
There you go.
He hooked me up big time, so I took care of him big time. But he was really, really cool. So
that's how he should. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Honestly, is people going in like that. At that time when you came in, sellers had to do that. It was whatever. It's called Section 1 and Section 2 clearance. So buyer coming in, hey, if there's termites, Section 1, Section 2, seller, you're getting that fixed. Now it's switched to where buyers now can negotiate.
Right.
As long as it doesn't affect any kind of closing cost or anything with the lending side to where you have that money.
Yeah.
So it does, unfortunately, at the time when you were buying, a lot of people were deterred. They're like, nah, I'm going to go this way.
Right.
I want to.
It's because it was too much of a hassle, or
Yeah, just because it was, I have to fix this stuff eventually. And that wasn't, the case for
Right.
people that weren't versed in VA. Now it's to the point to where we can negotiate. I had a client literally go through this process. It was about 6 months ago. The listing agent had the pest report done already. It fell out of escrow, and they're like, hey, we want to accept your offer. It's a great, strong offer, but we don't want to sit here and do all these repairs on this pest report.
Right.
And I was like, well, let me tell you that it's changed. And that's what we're here for,
Right.
is to let you guys know that stuff in loans change yearly, to where now we can go in there and say, hey, my buyer will cover $1,000 of that now.
Yeah.
We'll get some of those repairs. We'll get it cleared. As long as this doesn't affect us on the closing end, I'll call my lender right now. Shout out to Jeremy. And say, hey, if I put $1,000 towards this for my client or whatever it may be, is this going to affect the closing process at all?
Yeah.
So that's changed since you came in. So that's just something to know next time as you're starting the process up again. And also lending fees have helped too. Jeremy is very good at that.
Yeah.
The good thing is that you've mentioned your mom and grandma helping you in that process. They're able to help.
Yeah, I mean, they took care of everything on the financial side. It was really cool. Made it super smooth.
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't ask for more.
Fun.
Like it's I see other people do it, and I can see how stressful it can be.
Yeah.
It's
fun sometimes.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It can be a fun process as long as you have the right people helping you.
Like I said, I had a great time. Felt like just house shopping. Oh, this is cool. I can do this with that, or I can do this with that, and it was it made it enjoyable.
And they're gonna fix this for me too.
Aaron went in. It was crazy. I mean, they were so nitpicky to where, this light bulb's out. So
Right.
he literally went to Home Depot, grabbed a light bulb, and changed it out real quick. I mean, they were on everything. This garage, the garage light was missing a cover.
Mm-hmm.
It worked operational and everything, but just that plastic cover was missing. I mean, they were super, super on it. And he went through and took care of everything for me. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that someone is out there doing that. It's good to hear it, that there's
Yeah.
people taking that extra step to make sure the process of VA is
I can't
taken care
believe
of.
how much everything's went up, man. Jeremy emails me all the time for I guess the value of my house.
Yeah.
I bought my house for $295. The last one he sent me, I think it was a week ago that Jeremy sent me. It was like $420, dude.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yep. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Especially during COVID, that was skyrocketing prices.
Yeah.
Stuff that's never been seen before. Obviously, your interest rate, one-time thing.
Yeah.
I say one time. If it happens again, it'll be a second time.
The
thing.
second time, yeah. Hopefully, yeah, second time thing.
But
yeah,
you came in at a very crazy time to where.
Was it just that's what it was, as a timing thing?
Yeah, 100%. And that's really what the market is always, is
Right.
timing. Buyer's market, seller's market. Unfortunately, some people that want to sell in a buyer's market right now, they're trying to get sellers concession. Like, it's just it's not that kind of market anymore, to where sellers are having to pay certain things, to where when you came in, it was a little bit different.
A little bit different.
Yeah, we've talked about COVID a good amount during this podcast, to where this platform is to say, hey, it's different.
I mean, it changed the world, man.
Yeah, it did.
It changed
And
the world.
right now you have a lot of equity in your home too. So
Yeah, but I take the equity out. Where the hell am I going to go? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you could go to a different state and buy 2 houses.
That's the only option.
Yeah,
That's the only option.
It's hard to sit there and get to the point of, should I pull out this money that I have $120,000 in my home to put it to another one? Should I rent my home? That's what a lot of people are calling for right now.
I get so many calls about that every
Yeah.
day. I'm just like, I mean, it's overwhelming
Yeah,
right now.
people want to sell your home.
Everybody wants to sell my house.
I get it. And right now we're in the market where it's a lot slower, so inventory,
It's low.
yeah, it's lower than what it has been.
Yeah.
So now we're getting to the point where you're going to start getting those calls of, hey, are you looking at selling? Especially at your time, hey, you can make 100,000.
What's weird, that kind of slowed down, because before I was getting these calls, I was getting hit heavy on solar, and that kind of just died out.
Yeah.
The people that are leasing it's like making it impossible for them to sell their home, because that person that's buying it's having to get approved on the house itself, and then on top of that the panel separately. No.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. With solar, from what I'm gathering, it's a very difficult process, especially when it comes to like leasing too.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I always recommend owning solar.
Right.
Solar's in California, owning it is the way to go, especially when it comes to resale. Even you can own solar and still make monthly payments as if you're owning it.
Right.
And you're set at that payment. So $135 for 25 years.
How does that work if you're not done paying and you should go to sell the house?
So you have 2 options. You can use your equity to pay it off when you come to close if you want to.
Okay.
Or you can tell the buyer that they can take over your monthly payment of 135, and this is my remaining balance of 21, 22, whatever your balance is.
I think that's what's turning people off as far as getting the house, though.
It is. Yeah, and if you don't own it outright, that's when people are like, hey, what's remaining, and
Right.
is it leased or owned? And how much do you have left?
Yeah.
Right now, we're in the market to where sellers are paying to get it done ahead of time. We just got done with the listing appointment to where they called us. The husband was there saying, hey, what do we do with our solar? And then the wife called as we're finishing up pictures and said, hey, we paid the solar.
Can you just put it in the price of the house?
Once it's all paid off, yeah. I mean, that's when an appraiser comes in.
Okay.
They'll sit there and look at all that stuff. Hey, is this owned? Then that could be added value. What's left? An appraiser comes in, and that's when they start, nitpicking
Right.
at the money side of
Okay.
it. But right now, what we're seeing on a lease, obviously, what you're doing too, you're getting, even if they own it and still owe monthly payments on it, you still have to get approved from outside of your house loan. So
okay.
it's a whole separate process. So that's what we tell people also. Hey, they may be approved for this $450,000 home, but you have a $50,000 owned solar payment still left that they're going to have to pay.
Yeah, that's what I was trying
So
to
now
say.
they're having,
Yeah.
really it's $500,000 that they need to
Exactly.
be approved for. So that's when, we start letting sellers know, hey, the reason we feel that your home isn't selling is simply because we're looking at a solar issue. How do you want to handle this? And some people are like, I don't have the money to do it. It's what it is,
Right.
unfortunately. We've had a couple of those to where it stays on the market for a long time until
Right.
someone wants to come in and eat that payment. And then we have the positive side to where, hey, I have $100,000 equity in my home and I have $15,000 left on my solar.
Just take it out.
So when we close that escrow, go ahead and take an extra $15,000 out for solar, and that's incentive for the buyers coming in. Hey, you'll have own solar when you come into this house.
Okay.
So solar, I'm learning a lot about it right now.
Good.
And it's always changing. Same thing, with any kind of loan, like I said earlier, VA loan,
Right.
that stuff changes.
What about people that are in gated communities have HOAs? That's whole nother loop they got to go through.
Yeah. HOAs are different.
They're difficult.
Yeah.
I moved into one, and I like it. I mean, it's not terrible, but at first they were, brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal with, so uniform about everything, and it's just, you ask permission before you even do anything, and it's that's another thing too. I would tell people, before looking into a house is the rules and regulations of their HOA.
Yep.
And let them lay that all out for you.
Yeah, and that's our job as realtors. If you're living near a golf course, you're more than likely going to have an HOA fee there. That goes to, obviously, golf balls hitting
Yeah.
your homes every now and then. But HOAs too, you look at what the monthly fee is, and that also affects your pre-approval. So you could be approved at $275.
Some of them are ridiculous, man. I've seen, especially like what was it? I forgot how to. It was one like right off of Avenue 12, like 41 Avenue 12, whatever that is, right out there. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Those were like, I mean, they were talking about almost like $250 a month. Like
there's a lot of there's a lot of units out there too.
Yeah.
To where it's, I mean, I get it.
I live right here on the loop, so I have the in the Palisades, and all I pay for is the gate itself. So I'm only paying $80 a month, so it really didn't affect anything with me. But just because you're paying that and you have the HOA, yeah, you're only paying for the gate, but being in the gated community, there's so many rules.
Yeah.
There's so many rules.
Yep. We let our clients know that as soon as they send us, hey, this is the house we want to look at, we'll go and show and then say, hey, this is on top of your monthly mortgage that we've already went over. You're looking at a HOA fee of this amount.
Yeah.
This is what it covers. There is a lot of rules, like you said, there's usually a booklet that we can get.
I have I have a packet at home.
Yep. Yeah. So
home.
That's our job to make sure we do that for you guys.
Good.
So, David, appreciate you coming on, talking about your history.
We hate those Warriors games. Sorry.
It doesn't look good, but
what?
It's
you guys score?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
But I do appreciate you coming on.
Okay. Made me nervous for that.
It's all right. And as always, for all the veterans, active duty, military, we appreciate your service. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.